And I wonder about red flags when you're out on a date. Are there any red flags to look out for that you can think of off the top of your head?
Yes. So there's a few things that men can say on a first date, and I guess women too. But I think men tend to hide their red flags really well.
Hmm.
So if they say stuff, if they start saying stuff about the future, like, instead of talking about like what they like to do for the weekend, what do they like to do on a normal weekend, they say stuff like, well, let's go away this weekend. Or, next month I want to go to Aruba. Do you want to come with me? Like, that's a red flag. That is someone who is probably a narcissist who's currently grooming you with a love bomb to get you into a vulnerable state where then they can emotionally and maybe physically abuse you. So that is a massive red flag. Another red flag, if someone says to you that I'm friends with all my ex-girlfriends. No, you are still involved with your ex-girlfriend's lives probably because you don't want them deep down to be happy without you. And that is a form of gaslighting, in my opinion. So I feel like if a man says to you that he's friends with all of his exes, I think that's kind of weird. And I also think if a guy says to you that he doesn't have a lot of friends, I think as women, as heterosexual women, we should really look for, I mean, not just heterosexual women, like all women and men should look for people that are really strong communicators. And the only way to find a strong communicator is to be with someone who constantly makes the effort to develop their social aptitude. So, if a guy has one or two friends that they check in with regularly, that really helps. They have someone else to talk to, and they're developing their communication. And that translates to a healthy relationship for you. If someone does not have those relationships, it can be really tough. And sometimes that's also a sign of narcissism.
It's funny that you said that because a lot of these things, I wouldn't have picked them up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have picked them up.
I think those are pretty big first date flags,
Yeah. Because most of my friends will go, oh my God, he invited me away for the weekend. Oh, how fabulous.
That's such a red flag.
That's really interesting. Yeah. And I've heard that sometimes men will just project into the future, and women will sometimes think, oh, well, it's a plan. Like, oh, we should go to Hawaii, for Thanksgiving, whatever. And then they think, oh, it's a plan. And then the man's really just kind of trying that on for size. They're not really thinking of it in terms of actually activating on it. And so you can be disappointed and wonder now, oh, well, he didn't actually end up inviting me for Hawaii. So maybe that means that he's not that into me anymore. When
one thing, if you're currently in a texting relationship with someone, and I know a lot of people are that are listening and watching, you should ask yourself, does this person talking to me because he's genuinely interested in what I have to say? Does he actually want to meet me sometime in the next 48 hours? Or is he talking to me because he likes the way it feels? Am I stroking his ego throughout this? If a man ever says to you, oh, you're too good for me, or, I can't believe a woman like you would even talk to me, that is a massive red flag. That is a person who's trying to get you down to their level so that you can make them feel good because they don't feel good about themselves. Instead, he could say stuff like, wow, I admire you so much. You are incredible. Not, you're too good for me. That's an awful thing to say to someone. And what happens when you go down to their level and you say stuff like, what are you talking about? Your business is doing so well. Or what are you talking about? I love that you did this and this. Again, you're just going down to their level. You're giving them compliments because to make them feel good. What happens is eventually the honeymoon phase ends and now you're going to feel resentment. You're going to feel a lot of different emotions because you're not at your 100%. You've stooped down to his level to make him feel good, to make his ego feel good, when really there has to be a balance. He has to, we have to learn to date people who admire us as much as we admire them.